What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
That's the name of the chat.
All right, guys, so the Democratic Civil War after Kamala's loss is now officially underway. Everybody's got a take as to what went wrong. Mostly, it's people sort of validating their priors. I mean, I think that's the case with almost everybody in the conversation. But I still think some people are right and some people are wrong, of course. Let's start with this here, having the conversation on CNN as to why Kamala lost and Trump won.
If you want to hear what Kyle says in this part of the video, go watch his video. Links will be in the description box below. So I'm just going to take this moment to appreciate friend of the channel, Halal Flow. See you up there in the corner there. Love your work. Thanks for everything you do. People should support if they can. I'll put a link to their Patreon in the description box below too.
Immigration, there are people who do believe, and I think I buy into it, that part of the problem we've had as Democrats is that we have gotten pulled to the left so far that we can't make common sense decisions.
Kamala ran to the right on the border. I love how every point out of his mouth is completely rewriting history. Kamala's retort on the border was, hold on now, us Democrats did a bipartisan border bill, and this border bill was the most right-wing border bill in decades. There was no path to citizenship. There was no concern for people already here in the country. It was just, let's beef up border security, period. Let's add more Border Patrol agents. Let's shut down even the process of asylum after a certain number. It was a super right-wing border bill, and her rhetoric was right-wing on the border. It was all about border security. And what she said to Trump is, we actually did the right-wing border bill, and you blocked it. And his takeaway is, Democrats didn't go right enough on the border. That's insane. That's insane. By the way, let me be clear about something. I was wrong about this. Because me and Crystal had a disagreement. And my point to Crystal was, I actually think Kamala's strategy on this is a good way to sort of make null and void Trump's immigration and border stuff. Because if you can just make that issue completely null and void, because the polls show Trump is viewed more favorably on the issue of the border. And so Kamala's saying, wait, hold on now. We actually tried to do a border bill, which would have accomplished a lot of the goals you say you want, and you blocked it. I thought, shit, that's actually a good way to sort of take that issue off the table. And Crystal's point was like, you're never going to out-border hawk the Republicans. You're never going to go further than to the right of the Republicans on the issue of the border.
I don't know why Kyle wouldn't agree with his wife, because even I made this observation back when we were discussing this border bill. And following that will be some people that do this for a living making the same point, and then we'll get into the next point I want to make. The party that's in power trying to outdo the Conservative Party on immigration and trying to be more horrible than the party that's typically meant to be horrible on this topic. Even down to the language like Biden won't be able to beat Trump on immigration and you won't be able to out-Dutton.
I don't understand. This was the greatest campaign message of all time. I love the border wall. The border wall is great, actually. I've decided the border wall is great after calling everyone that defended the border wall a racist for 8 years.
Well, as we've learned time and time again, if voters have a choice between Republican and Republican light, they usually go with the Republican. The original Republican.
And she mentions immigration as her example, right? Where it's like, that's a funny one to pick. Because you know who's successfully branded themselves around one issue, basically? Donald Trump. Since he came down that escalator, has been branding his politics based on immigration.
Now, in retrospect, looking back at the results, Crystal was right and I was wrong. I thought, hey man, this will nullify it. The immigration issue will be off the table. Wrong. She ran to the right on the border and it didn't work. It didn't help.
As of now, the incoming Trump administration really appears to be interested in deporting 11 million people. Remember, about 80% of these people have been in this country for more than 10 years.
Economists have made it clear that Donald Trump's immigration policies of deporting possibly tens of millions of people is going to crash the economy almost immediately.
It's going to be heartbreaking and tragic for a lot, millions upon millions of people, because these 11 million people, 80% of whom have been here for 10 years, they're not islands. They have friends, they have family. This is going to impact 10% of our country.
Alright, let's run through the numbers and we'll go with 11 million. So that would mean at least a minimum of 7,534 people would have to be deported each day during Trump's term. And here at What Do You Mean, we love maps. Oh yes, we love maps. And so I thought, to help people see what 11 million people in the United States would look like, I've got some maps. Alright, if you got rid of 11 million people, that would be like getting rid of 28.2% of California, 35.5% of Texas, or 47.8% of Florida, or getting rid of 56.4% of New York State, or getting rid of 84.9% of Pennsylvania, or getting rid of 87.8% of Illinois, or getting rid of 93.1% of Ohio, or getting rid of 98.6% of Georgia, or completely getting rid of all of North Carolina. And if you got rid of South Carolina, you'd need to get rid of both the Dakotas, New Mexico, and Hawaii for it to be 11 million people. Or you could get rid of New Hampshire and New Jersey, or you can get rid of Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming, or you can get rid of Colorado, Louisiana, and Vermont, or Alabama and Wisconsin, or you can get rid of everyone in Maryland and Kentucky, or everyone in Idaho, Iowa, and Indiana, or you could get rid of everyone in Massachusetts, Mississippi, and Montana, or everyone in Tennessee, Nevada, and Alaska, or you can get rid of everyone in Arizona and Arkansas, or everyone in Washington State and Kansas, or the entire population of Minnesota and Delaware, or you could get rid of everyone in Oregon and Missouri, or everybody in Utah, Nebraska, Connecticut, and Rhode Island, or everyone in Minnesota, Oklahoma, and Maine.
Mr. Cousins, how would you secure the border? Because everything Cornyn, Cruz, Abbott, Patrick, and Paxton do has actually failed. It's actually really simple. How do we secure the border, the southern border of the United States, right? How do we stop people from coming into this country? And the answer is we don't. We need these people. But more importantly, how do you stop people from just wanting to get into the United States? In order to do that, you have to understand the root cause of immigration to begin with. Because there's no amount of walls, there's no amount of moats or guards you can put down there that's going to stop people from wanting to come into this country. So you have to address the cause of immigration, not the immigration itself. And that is something that, of course, none of our elective leaders have ever done. And that's what drives me crazy about this issue. Give people a reason to not have to flee their home countries, right? Like, if things are good at home, if they have economic opportunities, if their country is not being ravaged by climate change, then maybe we won't have, people wanting to desperately get into the United States, which, by the way, would probably be horrible for us, not gonna lie. But the answer to the immigration problem is make their lives better at home. And the weird part is, we have the resources to do it. We're just choosing as a country to not do it.
As you could probably tell, this is one of those videos where I smash together a bunch of clips from other people's videos and then some of my old videos. And for the What Do You Mean video to go along with the point that Farron just made, we have to go way back. And then it will lead into the final point I want to make. In the journey of this YouTube channel, I've come to answer a lot of questions I've asked society and myself and such. Like one that originated all the way back in the John Howard days was, if you've got such a problem with these boat people, maybe we could perhaps make it so they don't want to leave wherever they're coming from. Stop the problem at the core. Go help them out with whatever's making people want to flee, because I always assume that if you're willing to get in a dinghy to cross the ocean to go to Australia, you must be trying to get away from some fucked up shit. But oh, little naive me, I had to make a YouTube channel and make some videos to get to the bottom of that one, because like one that would still be in my top 5, how to profit off of prison, all the way back in the day, that's how I learned this stunning piece of information. 100% of Australian immigration detention facilities are privately operated. You know what that means? Private contracts to corporations. And because my little idea could never work, we couldn't possibly improve the situation of these people in their homes, because we need them to have to flee here, because how will we round them up and put them in these facilities and justify giving millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars away in contracts? Silly.
Private companies will cash in on Trump's immigration policy. Now that the Trump White House is on the horizon, private prison companies and corporate interests are anticipating a return on their lobbying efforts to place millions of immigrants under electronic surveillance. Okay, so it goes beyond that. Listen to this. For the last year, private prison companies and corporate interests have been quietly lobbying to place millions of immigrants under electronic surveillance, according to records uncovered by The Lever. Now that a second Trump administration will soon assume power, with a former prison lobbyist set to be his top legal advisor, there are signs the plans are already moving forward. Former President Donald Trump's victory on November 5th was immediately seen as a clear win for the private prison industry. The stocks of the world's biggest private prison companies soared in the wake of the election, and investors openly salivated over the potential profits they could see from a Trump immigration regime. Quote, "We're looking at a theoretical potential doubling of all of our services," one private prison executive told investors on a November 7th earnings call.
Alright, we'll jump straight into another one of my observations. It would appear to me, considering the private prison industry is really excited over Donald Trump's immigration policy, even though economists say it will ruin the economy. After finding out about the electronic surveillance part, which seems like it would just be putting ankle monitors on a lot of them, it looks like they're trying to have it both ways. Give the private prisons what they want and contracts for monitoring all these people, but yet these people can still work their jobs. That's what, to me at least, appears to be the plan. And you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. And I'm going to do something that I don't do nearly enough and thank everyone that currently supports this channel and has ever supported this channel. Really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and follow us on Blue Sky.
Prisons are an abomination. They're repulsive. They're grotesque.